Hello, and welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. It is your host, Catherine, here. Today, we're going to be talking about the Social Work Interstate Compact, and we're here with our guest, Matt. And Matt Schaefer, he's currently serves as the Deputy Director at the National Center for Interstate Compacts at the Council of State Governments. And Matt works with state legislators and stakeholder groups to support the enactment of compacts for teaching, cosmetology, massage therapy, and yes, of course, social work. Matt has vast experience developing and building consensus on policy options for state legislators. He has a master's degree in public policy from the University of Kentucky. Welcome back to the podcast, Matt.
Great. Thank you so much. It's good to be here discussing this topic again.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we say again because about a year ago, Matt and I released a podcast episode here on Social Workers Rise that talked about the compact and what it was and how it was just being started, and how in January of 2024 was when people were going to start voting on it, or states were going to start voting on it. And we've like everybody, we've made a lot of really great progress on the compact. So before where it stands right now, kind of just give us an overview of like, what are we talking about when we say the compact for somebody who has never heard of this before?
Sure. So the Social Work Compact is a licensure compact, which is a agreement between states that facilitates multi-state practice and licensure portability for licensed social workers. So the best analogy that I can point to that typically resonates with people is like your driver's license, where you hold one license issued by your home state of residence that allows you to drive anywhere you want across the country. And the Social Work Compact would operate very similarly, where you hold one state-issued license in your state of residence, and that would allow you to practice in any state that's a part of the compact. So right now we're at 22 member states. So if you have a license in one of the states that's a part of the compact, once it's implemented, you would be able to practice in any one of those 22 states without having to get separate licenses to work there.
That's amazing. So 22 states, does that mean that this is currently enacted today as we speak in November of 2024?
So it has been enacted in those 22 states. There is still a implementation process that is taking place, where the states that have passed the compact are now kind of putting all of this into practice, and that process will probably take about 12 to 18 months. So it's not the case that social workers could go and apply right now and get a compact license. There's still a little bit of a waiting period for the states to get all of this set up before social workers can start using it. But we do expect that to happen sometime in 2025.
Okay, awesome. That's exciting. So basically, to recap what Matt said, is if you become licensed in your home state, and if your home state happens to be part of this compact, then that license is valid and recognized in any of the states that are part of this compact, which is huge. And so I'm wondering, so states, I'm just kind of processing this in my head. So 22 states have currently joined, and then there could be other states that are in the process of joining or maybe want to join in the future. In the meantime, it sounds like the powers that be, are working out the details so that sometime in 2025, this can be enacted and it can be officially started. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So CSG is working with what we call the Compact Commission, which is one representative from the licensing board, from the social work board in each of the member states. So all 22 of those states that have passed the compact, they get to elect one representative to participate on this commission that CSG is helping convene. And that's the entity that's actually implementing the compact. So this isn't something that CSG that we're just doing by ourselves. The member states themselves, all the states that have passed the compact, they're the ones making these decisions about how this is going to be implemented and put in place.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for clearing that up. And so there's 22 states. What do you have the list in front of you as far as which states have currently enacted it?
I do, and I can rattle those off if you'd like me to.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm just going alphabetical order here. Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Georgia, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Maine, Minnesota, Missouri. That was our first state. New Hampshire, Nebraska, Ohio, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington State.
Awesome. I love that. So many states. That's amazing. And you were saying that
Yes,
this is
fantastic.
the most states that you guys have gotten in a year.
Yeah, so in 2023, when the language was finalized, we got Missouri. They were the first state, but nobody else in 2023. 2024 has been pretty incredible to see the amount of interest with 21 states passing it just in this legislative session, which is the most that we've ever seen at CSG. And we've worked on probably about a dozen of these licensure compacts, and we've never seen more than 20 states join one single compact in 1 year. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're ready for it. Social workers, we're like, let's get this done, because I know so many times that there are social workers who need to travel for whatever reason, that they have to leave the state or visit family or move in with family. And I see it a lot here in California because it's so expensive to live that a lot of people have been moving out of the state. But it's hard because if you move out, then there goes your entire license and everything that you worked towards. So I'm really happy to see this happening. We're going to hit pause on this conversation real quick, because the next time that you need continuing education units, I highly recommend the Therapist Development Center. TDC has helped more than 100,000 social workers pass their licensing exams, including myself. I love that TDC CE courses are engaging and relevant. Amanda and her experts give us clear and practical skills that we can immediately apply to our work. Some of my favorites are their Edge of Life Suicide Prevention course, where Amanda shares her personal experiences, and their They Did What? Law and Ethics course that looks at real cases where therapists faced formal disciplinary actions. We are legally required to take continuing education to increase our competence, and most other courses out there don't actually teach the material in a way that we can learn it, but TDC does. Check out the links in the show notes. If you are looking for continuing education credits, make sure that you check out CHEP, CHEP. This organization provides high-quality CEUs, continuing education units, and as a bonus, all of the profits from their CE courses go directly to supporting homeless veterans. So not only are you getting your continuing education credits, you're also supporting out a great cause. Make sure to check out the link in the show notes to find out how you can get started with your continuing education credits today. If we didn't hear our state named on the list, what do you recommend that we do? For example, I didn't hear California on there. So if I'm interested in saying, hey, what's going on in California? How do we get to be part of this compact? What could just a regular old social worker like me do?
Yeah, so I think reaching out to your representative in the state legislature is always a impactful thing to do. Social workers sharing their personal stories, I think, always resonates. So not so much the particular arguments about the mechanics and how it works and what it would do, but just you as a social worker. How have you been impacted by the licensure process in your state? What barriers have impacted you? How has it kind of prohibited you from maybe um, doing things in your career that you would otherwise want to do? I think those types of stories really resonate with legislatures. So reaching out directly, I think, is always helpful. And then there's a lot of different advocacy minded organizations who are involved in lobbying for the compact. I think, reaching out to your local NASW chapter, they're really the ones leading the charge on the legislative side to get this passed. So I think seeing where your NASW chapter stands on the compact, I think would be a helpful exercise. But there's a number of other organizations out there that are also interested in getting the compact passed. So I think NASW is the largest one. That's the one I'd probably start with, but there's others as well.
Okay, awesome. Definitely something that we can do that's actionable that we can do today. And honestly, it probably wouldn't take more than 20 minutes to Google your local legislative representative for where you live, for your zip code, for your city, and just type up a quick story about your licensure experience and any kind of barriers or why this would be important for your career for your state to be joining the compact. So awesome. Thank you for those tips. And I see that this is going to completely change the way that we social work. And you're not a social worker, but I'm just wondering, in your experiences, because you have implemented these before, you said a couple dozen compacts in the past. How do you think this is going to shift or evolve our industry?
Yeah, so I think the mental health care compacts in general, I think really resonate with legislators in terms of the particular need. I think legislatures across the country recognize the mental health crisis that we're in right now, and it's not unique to any one particular state. I think all states are really facing this as a major issue, and access to care, access to services, access to providers, I think plays a really important role. And so the compact would help alleviate barriers to practice, which will in turn increase access to care and help alleviate some of those workforce shortages that we see in states so often. So, I hear all the time about workforce shortages, in particular in mental health care professions. And so I think the compact is really a great tool. It's certainly not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all of the state's issues with workforce shortages, but it's definitely a good option for states to explore. The other thing that pops out to me immediately is telepractice, and the ease at which the compact would facilitate telepractice, I think, is really significant. And I've heard of social workers throughout working on this project that hold more than 30 licenses across the country because they're doing telepractice everywhere. They're doing telepractice all over. And so the compact would eliminate the need for all of that. And you go from a situation where, maybe you got a big spreadsheet of all your renewal cycles and the CEs and all the fees that you have to pay to maintain all of those different licenses, and the compact would eliminate the need for all of that. So I think there's a significant value for you if you're doing telepractice as well. So those are probably the two biggest things that jump out to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know telehealth and telepractice is huge, and it's only going to get bigger. And this is going to be just make it so easy, almost like a no-brainer if you're in telehealth to join the compact, because you're able to see people who may have trouble accessing providers in their local community, especially if there's somebody with a niche specialty like treating trauma, or people who serve BIPOC, or people who are part of the LGBTQ community, where they can reach those people who may feel isolated, who may not have any other type of support local in their towns and in their community. So it's going to be so powerful. The other thing too is if people are interested in travel social work. So I know that when you sign up with a travel social work agency, that they ask you what state you're licensed in. And so now this could just open up the floodgates if you wanted to do travel as far as fill in gaps in different schools, different areas, different states. There's a really big need for travel medical social workers. So it's going to be exponential. Definitely, if you're listening to this, brush up on your telehealth, teletherapy skills, and keep a lookout. So this is going to be really exciting, and to see how it shapes the industry that we're in.
Yeah, and one other
So
thing that
thank
just
you so
popped into
much,
my
Matt, for your time. And yeah, absolutely.
sorry. One other thing that just popped into my mind too. We've talked with folks at the federal level at emergency preparedness and
Mm.
bringing social workers into states that have been impacted by natural disasters. And so, Hurricane Helene just happened in the Southeast in North Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. So being able to quickly employ social workers to visit some of those devastated areas more quickly and seamlessly without having to require them to go get a license to do so, I think is a big benefit for the compact as well. So that one just popped into my head also.
Yeah, that's great. Disaster response. I love that area. Uh, Social workers are perfectly suited to do crisis response work. And I love that that's going to be expanded because it's a very, very high need when these disasters strike. I'm a survivor of a natural disaster. My house burned down when I was a teenager and in one of the California wildfires. And it was the most horrific experience. And to think how different and comforting it would have been to have somebody like a social worker to just provide that reassurance, to provide the resources, to provide the hope that, hey, like this really sucks right now, but we're going to get through this. You're not alone. There's somebody who has your back and who knows what to do, because in a natural disaster, I mean, you never know what to do. Nobody teaches you like, oh, if you lose your home in a tornado, this is what you do next. Um, so that's a really great ad. Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Matt, for your time and your expertise and all of your diligent hard work on this compact. You truly, truly make a difference.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you again, and we look forward to getting this up and off the ground in 2025, so social workers can start using it.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have you back on once people can start joining the compact so we can share how to become part of it, so we can get this thing rolling.
Great. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Bye.